who comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning to you, babe. We're all just getting up here. Meow. Whine a cat. Whine a cat. All right, we're all set up. We are ready to go. Don't give damn about my reputation. Oh no, not me. No. All right. We've been started about 3 minute mark. Here. Meow whiners. Whining. What's up? Sebastian. I went to go get cats. My daughter had some kittens. So we went over to decide. And I had picked one out. It was Ronan. I always picked a run. And we got him. But my grandkids said, they're like, Grandpa, we want to be able to see Bastion. Now they don't even remember his name. So, the decisions we make for grandchildren, which later place us in a position to be hurt. Right? Funny stuff. When you miss the beginning, you miss all the funny stuff. I'm kidding. I'm just making people get it earlier. Hi, Patricia. Good to see you. This is going to be a good one. We get to read out of AA Comes of Age. We're going to be talking about Dr. Bob. We don't talk about Dr. Bob much. But he was just as integral to this program as anybody was. As you are, as Dr. Bob, as Bill, Ebby, alcoholic number 3, these people. And so today we're talking about failure. And it always leads back, right? So in here, it says that the reading is from As Bill Sees It, page 31. So if I go to As Bill Sees It, page 31, at the bottom, sorry. I did something wrong. Oh, that's because I was looking at, I mixed up tomorrow's with today's. So we don't get to read. We're going to do both. In God's economy, nothing is wasted. Through failure, we learn a lesson in humility, which is probably needed, painful though it is. All right. So humility and being humble, they're kind of two different things. Okay, humility is something that has happened because of an action. You feel humiliated. Humility is a bad feeling, right? None of us like being humiliated, right? Especially in the eyes of others. I don't like that. Uh-uh. We did not always clump closer to wisdom by reason of our virtues. Our better understanding is often rooted in the pains of our former follies, because that has been the essence of our individual experience. It is also the essence of our experience as a fellowship. Yeah, where we can bring what we have done into the light of day and kind of chuckle about it. Well, one time I woke up in a bathtub, somebody else's bathtub. I had no idea where I was. I woke up and told my girlfriend and said, "Hey, I woke up in a bathtub." She's like, "Well, how much I can do? I'm 16." Wasn't anything she could do. All right. So even though we're quote unquote failing, we're succeeding. We're making it. You know, I have failed quite often in this program. Maybe I didn't go a right route. Maybe I didn't. It usually has to do with any of my. It has to do with action. The thought process. If you keep it to yourself, you can really just stay away from any amends there, right? But you know, failure can be tough for alcoholics because failure is really all that we've experienced before we got here. So it isn't really the challenge of failure for me or for other alcoholics that I've noticed, but the challenge of actually succeeding and knowing what that looks like, knowing what success looks like in your life can be more of a challenge than the actual failures. Hi, Amber. I'm glad you made it. I see YouTube is your friend now with it. I think it's awesome. I appreciate you using it. Because I do pay to, for it to be put there. You can also catch all the daily trudges at the website, which is crap right now. Even I'll admit it's crap. How thankful I am today to know that all my past failures. Hey, Trevor. Good to see you, dude. So, all my past failures were necessary for me to be where I am now. So, here's the key I love who I am today. Okay. I love this, Dion. But, yeah, you're on the right video. You're live. We are live right now. So now you know. What was I getting to? Oh, I remember. Oh, I love myself today. Okay. If I wouldn't have gone through what I went through, I wouldn't be who I am today. So therefore, everything in my past is okay. See how I did that? Okay. I like who I am today because I've done my fourth and my fifth step. I do my amends and then I maintain my program. And because of that, today I am free to fail. Welcome to the 10th step. Okay. The 10th step gives you the right to be wrong. Isn't that great? Is this a dream? Is this the Animatrix or something? Wow, that was a flashback. Anybody else here watch Animatrix? Probably not. Okay. Though much pain came, through much pain came experience, and in suffering I became obedient. Obedient. Shh. Don't tell my wife I'm obedient. She can hear me. Just so you know, everybody in the house can hear me. Okay? No, she can't hear me. I would say, don't tell my wife I'm actually obedient. When I sought God as I understood him, he shared his treasured gifts. You know what his treasured gifts were? His people. For me, that's what it was. It was the people. It's my wife, my kids, my family for sure, you know. Not all of them, but some of them. My friends here. I've got some really good friends here. You know, I'm getting to know Trevor a little bit better. He pops up every now and then, but Patricia, Amber, and Ingrid know me pretty well. Hi, Ingrid. Good to see you. Good afternoon. Might be afternoon. It's getting close to afternoon for Ingrid. So when I sought God, he shared his treasured gifts with me. Is that cool? You didn't even have to do anything. All you had to do was seek. All I had to do was seek, and God removed the obsession. Eventually. We're going to do another story here in a minute. Through experience and obedience, growth started, followed by gratitude. Yes, then came peace of mind, living in and shared sobriety. See, it's shared. Not all of us go through these experiences. I want to bring up an experience that's a little different that you don't hear very often anymore because people don't want to admit it, but it does happen. Okay. So let's cover it. I'm going to be in It Comes of Age if you have this book. And I am going to be hold on. I'll get this together, I promise. So 69, where we? Okay. Okay. I am going to be starting on the very bottom of page 67 for anybody that wants to follow along. Now, this is a story about Dr. Silk. I think Silkworth's a little bit in it, and Bill and Bob. Okay. And about Bob's obsession to drink. Okay. Just before leaving for Akron, Dr. Silkworth had given me a great piece of advice. Without it, AA might have never been born. Look, Bill, he had said, you're having nothing but failure because you are preaching at these alcoholics. You are talking to them about the Oxford Group precepts of being absolutely honest, absolutely pure, absolutely unselfish, and absolutely loving. This is a very big order. Then you top it off by harping on this mysterious spiritual concept of yours. What, you think Bill did it perfectly when he started? No, he started out as an evangelist. He was preaching. We know that's not going to work, right? But somebody had to go through these mistakes. And thank God that Bill and Bob were willing to bring forth their past mistakes to help us. They put it all in print. They put almost all their mistakes in print for us so that we don't repeat them. No wonder they point their finger to their heads and go out and get drunk. Why don't you turn your strategy the other way around? Aren't you the very fellow who once showed me that book by the psychologist James, which says that deflation at great depth is the foundation of most spiritual experiences? Have you forgotten all about that? Have you also forgotten that Carl Jung in Zurich told a certain alcoholic the one who later helped you sober up your friend Ebby, that his only hope of salvation was a spiritual experience? No, Bill, you got the cart before the horse. Isn't it good? Isn't it good that we had somebody like Dr. Silkworth who would guide Bill? Okay. And Dr. Silkworth was not an alcoholic, but he understood what we were trying to do. You've got to deflate these people first. So give them the medical business and give it to them hard. Pour it right into them about the obsession that condemns them to drink and the physical sensitivity or allergy of the body that condemns them to go mad or die if they keep on drinking. Isn't that what we do now? That's step one, man. We drive home. We drive home the unmanageability. Okay? The unmanageability. Coming from another alcoholic, one alcoholic talking to another, maybe that will crack those tough egos deep down. Only then can you begin to try out your other medicine, the ethical principles you have picked up from the Oxford groups. What a great point. Hey, this is what's going on with your body. The seriousness of it, it needs depth and weight, right? They would go on to write that. This happened before the book. This happened before the book. Now, talking with Dr. Bob, I remembered all that Dr. Silkworth had said. So I went very slowly on the fireworks of religious experience. I just talked away about my own case until he got a good identification of me, until he began to say, yeah, that's me. I'm like that. That's why I like page 21. Page 21 is my kicker. Because anybody that has an alcohol problem will see themselves in there, especially when it comes to we build up a bright future and then pull it down around us. Especially that one. That one seems to be the one to get most people that I've noticed when they come back and say, when I read this, when I read it, there isn't a line in there that isn't me. Okay? Don't do that. Don't take page 21 as a challenge. Okay? Don't do it. I made that mistake. In turn, Dr. Bob talked to me about himself as he had never talked before. He too was a Vermonter. That means they were both from Vermont. I forgot Vermont was even a state. Montpelier. Sorry. Montpelier. It's the capital. I don't know how I remembered most of my capitals. Anyway, his father had been stern, but deeply respected judge in St. Johnsbury. Okay, so Dr. Bob's father was a judge. Also, in my case, Dr. Bob's drinking proclivities had shown up early. In fact, he had busted out of Dartmouth College for this reason. Somehow he had wormed his way through medical school and an internship in Chicago. Despite his drinking, he had shown the talent flair for surgery. After his marriage to Anne, they had settled in Akron, where in due course young Bob was born a daughter. Sister Sue was adopted. Dr. Bob at the time of our first meeting was 55. Okay. Some 15 years older than I. What does that tell? What? Bill got young. He got sober 40-ish, I think. Oh, here, yeah. Do the math. He must have had an iron constitution. He said that all through the all years of his drinking, he had been practically continuous. When he got too jittery to operate to see his patients, he sedated himself heavily. When this recourse sometimes failed, he would steal away for a week or so to drying out place so that he could start the same cycle all over again. And there's rare moments when he got thoroughly sober, the insatiable craving for alcohol never let up. This was a physical phenomenon which bedeviled even his first years in AA, a time when only days and nights of carrying the message to other alcoholics would cause him to forget about it. I was just saying, yeah, go. Have fun in your meeting. Thank you for stopping by, Patricia. Love you, and we'll see you next time. I'm not too much longer here. I just like reading about this stuff or knowing about this stuff. Although this craving was not hard to withstand, it doubtless created some part of the intense incentive and energy that went into forming Akron's group number one. Bob's spiritual release did not come easily. It was to be painfully slow. Years. It would be years for Bob. Okay? And that's how it's going to be for some people. They may have. And that's where we cannot separate. We need to understand that sometimes it's not lifted for a long time. Do you have people in your groups that keep coming back and out? Okay. Bob was the same way. That's what gave me hope the second time. For 2 years, I tried to sober up. Okay. And I couldn't. Now, for him, he had that obsession for a few more years, but he made it. He still did it. The only time the obsession was really gone was when he was working with another alcoholic. So what was keeping him sober? Step 12 was keeping him sober. Bob's spiritual, it always entailed the hardest kind of work and the sharpest vigilance. Yet he seemed to have no serious neurotic difficulties. As he often put it, I just love my grog. Somebody like their Lord of the Rings. Hey, grog is orc beer, just so you know. All right. I'm gonna do one more paragraph and then we'll wrap up. By the time I met him, this compelling love had almost done him in. His surgical skill was still recognized, but few colleagues or patients dared to trust him. He had lost his post on the staff at Akron City Hospital and barely existed through the precarious and dwindling general practice. In debt up to his ears, he was only one jump ahead of the sheriff and his mortgage payments. Anne verged on a nervous crack up, and their 2 children, of course, were greatly upset. Such was the payoff of the 25 years of alcoholism. Hope was a word they had come to avoid. I'm sorry, but I'm too into this right now. In our conversation, I bore down heavily on the medical hopelessness of Dr. Bob's case, freely using Dr. Silkworth's words describing the alcoholic dilemma, obsession plus allergy theme. Though Bob was a doctor, this was news to him. Bad news. Always better versed in spiritual matters than I, he paid little attention to that aspect of my story, even though he could not make them work. He already knew what the spiritual answers were. What really did hit him hard was the medical business, the verdict of the inevitable annihilation, and the fact that I was an alcoholic and knew what I was talking about from personal experience made the blow a shattering one. In Dr. Bob's story, as afterwards written for the AA book, and years later in his last full-length talk at Detroit, he made this point very clear. It was not any spiritual teaching of mine. Rather, it was those twin ogres of madness and death. Somebody was very much. All right. Have a good day. Love you. Rather was those twin ogres of madness and death, the allergy plus the obsession that triggered him into his new life. It was Dr. Silkworth's idea, confirmed by William James, that struck him at death. See, sometimes it takes a tribe to get somebody sober. You may need to ask somebody else, hey, what do you think? Let's try it. Can we try this? Can we try that? Because, we may say that people aren't willing. We don't give up on people around here. We don't. We don't give up on people around here. Okay? If you want to be in this program and you seriously want to be in this program, you need to be a forever person. Okay? That means that if I've ever talked to you, I'm here and said I would help, I'm here forever. Not just today, but next week, the week after. And I'm okay with being a forever person because I'm not going anywhere. All right. So I love these interesting little side things and learning more about, even just about how Bill approached Bob and knowing that Bill had been fucking it up because that's an alcoholic for it, but he was doing it. So God gave him what? Gave him what? Grace. He may have been shouting from the rooftops and he may be an evangelist and he was, but once he found that rhythm, he would start to get more people sober. Isn't that neat? Because Dr. Silkworth said, yo, Bob, I love you, but you can't do it this way. I'm sorry, Bill. Dyslexia is still informed. All right. So, all right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I hope you have a great day. It's early. We all know I'll be back later. I love you. Peace out and have a day.